Okay. In this video, what I'm going to do is make an exhaust clamp for this muffler here, because that's just slipped up in there, and of course from the vibration and so forth, it'll fall out eventually. It'll blow it right out of there. So I'm going to make a clamp to go on here and pinch that together to hold this muffler in place. And what I'm going to make the clamp out of is the standard brass tubing that you get at the hobby shop. I'll show you that. What we're going to make this out of is this K&S tubing, as you all know, or have worked with this, that you can get the sizes that slip right inside of each other. This size is 5/16 ID, which slips exactly over the muffler pipe. And then what I'm going to solder on there is a piece of, this is 16th inch pipe. It has a 16th inch hole through it. And that will be for the bolt that clamps it together. And we'll show you how to do this. Another thing that I should mention is I'm going to use silver braze on this one, because it's soft solder is definitely not strong enough. Because when you try to cut this or anything, it'll just rip it right off. It works in some cases for water clamps and so forth for soft tubing, but it definitely will not work on something like this. So I'm going to silver braze that to there, and I'm going to put a cut in it, which I'll show you. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to cut a little curve in there so it makes contact with the pipe better. So it'll be a better solder joint. It's a 5/16 piece of tubing, and this is a 5/16 end mill. I don't want to go through it. I just want to get a little spot like that. That should do it. Now I'm going to cut off a piece that's way longer than I need to, because what will happen if I don't, the solder will pull up and solder it to the rod that I use to hold it. So I'm going to make it extra long and mill it off afterwards. I'm only going to put a tiny bit of flux on this, because if you have too much, it'll flow all over the place and suck it in the end of the tube and solder it to your jig. So I've just got a tiny bit of flux. And slide it on this tube, I think. And that's the flat right there. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I want very little silver braze on here. And if I take the silver braze itself and touch it to there, I might get too much. So a good trick is to take a piece of steel rod and put a point on it. And I'm going to put a little bit of silver braze on that and let it harden. And then all that can come off by using this is the amount that I put on there. It can't give me too much. Got a little bit of flux on there. I'm just going to put a little daub of silver braze on it. About what I think I need. You can see there's a little globule of silver on that. Actually, there's a little flux too, but maybe I ought to put a little more than that. But this way, I'm controlling the amount that can flow onto the part. And that's it. As you can see, there's just a little bit of flux of silver braze right down in there, and it's not flowing in the end, so I can pull this jig out of there without any problem. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that extra small tube by sawing it off. Now I haven't got quite so much on there, but I can still mill some more of that off when I get it in the milling machine. I've got the bulk of it off of there. Now I'm going to just take it to the sander and bring them down to about the finished you can see, that's silver brazed on there pretty nicely. Plenty of strength. The next thing I got to do is part this off from here. And I do this in the lathe. I just put the tube in a tool holder, put it on the carriage here, and I've got a very fine tooth jeweler's saw here, and hopefully I can saw that right off. It's starting to roll, so I'm going to tilt it a little bit here and just cut it off that way. For some reason, it doesn't want to cut through the very back side. If you turn it and just finish it, it works better. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same jeweler's saw and put it in the milling machine, and we're going to saw this split in that so that it comes together. Just going to eyeball the center there. It doesn't really matter that much. And got to move it in just a little bit more to give it more support. One problem is if it sticks out too far, the saw can grab it and bend your part, and you don't want that to happen. In order for this to work, I have to put a slit in this piece here. So I'm going to do that in the milling machine. Just a simple cut into it. So that will compress when I put the clamp on it. There it is. Okay, we just slit that, and that'll allow it to compress. Okay, so now that's slit. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's very hard to focus with these small parts, but there's a slit on both sides there, and that'll allow me to clamp it in tight. So now we have the clamp, and I have slit the tube. Let's put the clamp on there like that, and that is for an 080 bolt, like I said before. And hopefully it'll go in there. I'll probably have to screw it in. This is pretty tight. There it goes. And then I can put this into here and tighten it up.
Get the clamp off, actually. Get that wrench on there, yeah.
Probably ought to put the nut on there first while I can still see it. If I can find the damn. Those 080 nuts are really small. Here's the clamp. There's the exhaust tube. I'll get my 080 wrench. Tighten her up. Oh, I have to get the 2 wrenches. And there it is. It won't fall out of there. It's good and solid. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That's what keeps us going. Thank you very much.